Of all the films I've been most interested in seeing this summer, Spider-Man Homecoming takes the cake. It was the high-flying, fun-loving, heartfelt, and deeply sentimental summer movie a lot of us needed right now. And funny enough, that's kinda how Spider-Man got his start in the film industry in the first place. The first Spider-Man came out in the summer after 9/11 and was met with massive praise and acclaim because at the time, it was the film people needed to see. People needed to see a superhero affected by tragedy who rose above and made us believe everything was going to be okay. People needed to see New Yorkers coming together to fight the Green Goblin. People needed to see Spider-Man in front of the American flag. It was a film that helped a country still hurting from tragedy. But the film didn't stop there. Because then Spider-Man 2 came out and not only topped the first one, but it is now often regarded as one of the greatest superhero movies ever and actually received a nomination to join the AFI Top 100. Spider-Man 3, while definitely not as horrible as it gets blamed for being, is undeniably a fall from grace, but it still had some strong villains in Sandman and a solid story arc for Peter, as far as the symbiote goes. And then there were the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which were garbage, so I'm not going to talk about them. But when Captain America Civil War came along, we got our first glimpse at what Disney can do with Spider-Man, and it did not disappoint. For the first time ever, we got an actual kid in the role of Spider-Man. A high school student whose insecurities and ambitions were at their most vulnerable. And he was so beloved that Disney announced his own movie, which is where Spider-Man Homecoming comes into play. It is extremely difficult to not love Homecoming, from its extremely well-paced delivery to its almost perfect sense of humor. Spider-Man is one of the best movies out this summer. But let's dive in. One of the film's biggest strengths is its tone. This film relies heavily on the works of John Hughes. It's noticeable in its nods to 16 Candles, Weird Science, and even a nice little homage to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You're going to find the teenage characters both fun and interesting as we receive a Flash Thompson who's a modern-day dickhead, and two friends of Peter's whose dynamic you might find reminiscent of the Harry Potter franchise. In other avenues, the film is essentially an Iron Man sequel as well, as we do receive some loose ends getting tied up for Tony Stark. In this film, some key concerns were that Iron Man would ultimately overpower the film, but in reality, it's a nice, evenly spread out garnish to an already great film. And the most important part of any Spider-Man film is the villain. To me, a Spider-Man villain is the make-or-break element of any of the films. The Raimi films felt like giants filling up the screen with their awesome designs and fun personalities. They were like the old-fashioned creatures you could almost see the logo Spider-Man versus Dr. Octopus go across the screen. So as it goes, Michael Keaton kills as Vulture. It's a different type of villain that we're used to, as what we're getting is a working class guy screwed over by the system whose only real hope for survival is by going bad. He's identifiable and totally relatable, and actually has one of the most intense scenes in a superhero film. My final word is that Spider-Man is amazing. A film that must be seen just for the sake of it lifting your spirits. In a world where a little bit of joy is necessary, this is the movie we need right now. Spider-Man Homecoming, the perfect movie for the summer.